All right, good morning and welcome to our virtual workshop series titled To Be the Brand Your Customers Can't Live Without. This morning, you are going to be hearing from our Chief Revolution Officer and best-selling author, John DiJulius, from the DiJulius Group. And the DiJulius Group works with the top brands, most recognizable brands, as you can see, across the country, helping them revolutionize their not only customer experience, but also their employee experience. Before we get started and before I turn it over to John, just a few things. There are two different ways that you'll be able to communicate with us today. First, you'll be able to use the chat feature. If you have any questions whatsoever, logistical questions, technology questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I will be overseeing that the entire time that John's presenting and will be able to assist you. John will be taking live questions at the end of his presentation as well. So if you have any questions that you would like him to answer at the end of his presentation, go ahead and put those in the Q&A section at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And then just to let you know, everyone who registered for today's webinar will be receiving not only a copy of the recording, but also a copy of John's slide deck in PDF form. So you can expect that from us later today. And now I'm going to turn it over to John.
Thank you, Lindsay. Welcome, revolutionaries, to our webinar series. We will be having webinars the first and third Thursday of every month, and we'll go over the upcoming webinars at the end. So let's get started. There's been a customer service recession going on since the middle of the pandemic. According to the American Customer Satisfaction Index, which measures every industry, you can see that it hit a 2-decade low at the end of 2022. Why? Because we had, the Great Resignation, employee burnout, and supply chain issues and inflation. And all those things led to an experience gap. An experience gap is when people are paying more and they're getting less. So I'm sure you've all experienced that as customers and possibly in your business. So what types of things are people dealing with? Shrinkflation. You've experienced shrinkflation, whether you know it or not. You might get 4 less chips in your Doritos. Your Gatorade bottle might, be 4 ounces smaller, but you're still paying the same price you used to be. So it's a kind of a shady disguise in raising prices without the consumer knowing it. It might be a smaller entree. It might be booking an hour and a half massage, but only getting 80 minutes. And the other thing with it, we're all fatigued on is tipflation, right? Everywhere we go, everyone wants a tip now, instead of what used to be the hospitality industry. So I want mine. So at the end of this presentation, I'm going to put this up and, see if I can get some tips. But the positive is return on experience, ROX. It shows that the companies that commit to being obsessed with customer experience outperform everyone else by 400%. So welcome to you that are on this and listening and watching. Is it possible to become the brand customers can't live without? People ask me, more in the first business I started, the salon and spa business 31 years ago, who's my ideal customer? And I like to say it is a Tesla driving, Lululemon wearing, Peloton riding, Starbucks drinking, Apple Mac using. And what's unique about this clientele, this consumer? These types of customers care less about price and more about finding a compelling experience that makes them feel better about themselves, which creates an emotional connection to the brand. They think if I buy this, I'll be hipper, more attractive, more intelligent, and more popular. So in the chat here, I would love for you to share with me and all of us, what are some brands you can't live without, or one brand that you can't live without, and why? And so let's see this hopefully populate here. but would love to know what some of your brands are and see if they're the typical ones we get. No one's typing in. No one wants to share. What's some of the brands that you personally can't live without? All right. So Amazon, easy to get items and super quick. All right. Mine are Starbucks, Apple, and Amazon. Also ESPN. Usually the ones that we get like when we do workshops and stuff is these three, American Express, Target, besides some mom and pop locals that maybe not be well known to everyone else. Oh, I think we got a couple more answers. Nike. And it says chat is disabled. Oh, they put it in Q&A. Okay, so Lindsay, is chat disabled? Yeti.
Chat is,
Go ahead.
I don't show chat disabled, but if it's showing that way on your
All right,
screen, just use the
then we
Q&A.
can keep it. It's not showing on mine, but Tiffany said it was. But this is a great exercise to do with your team. Ask them why, let them tell you, and then ask them this question: what is a brand you can't live without? And then why? Why? And the answers you get are, because they remember me, or because Apple. I like how all my products work together. Amazon, as Lindsay said, they're the easiest company in the world to do business with. What you usually don't hear is necessarily how superior the product is. Product better be good. And the other thing you don't hear is because they're the cheapest. Typically, the brand you can't live without is not the cheapest. And so that's what we're all striving for. So what makes a company, a brand customers can't live without? And this is B2B, B2C, manufacturing, whatever, distribution, it does not matter. So a great product or service, that's table stake. And you have to understand, like Apple puts out great products, but you can argue that Samsung, their competition is very comparable and cheaper. So that's table stake. You got to do it, whatever your service or product is. But then the next one is consistency. And consistency, this is huge and cannot be overemphasized. Undeniably, more than anything else, customers want a brand that is brilliant at the basics. Consistency drives customer satisfaction and brand loyalty. And basically, you can forget the bells and whistles. Just be consistent, be reliable, accurate, friendly in every interaction, and don't make it depending on which location or which employee your customers deal with. We call that employee roulette. All right. Third one, ease of doing business. Again, think about Amazon, think about Zappos, Nordstrom's, Uber. Amazon is the easiest, most convenient company for purchasing. From one click to returns to their customer support, you could be speaking to someone within 30 seconds, probably through chat, but they also will call you. Companies like Zappos and Nordstrom's do not have return policies, meaning you can return them in years. You could bring it back, whenever, and you don't need a receipt. Does your companies have policies and rules to make your life more convenient, to make your customers' life more convenient? How easy is it to speak to a human being? How easy is it to find a phone number on your website? Is the buying experience for your customers convenient for you, or is it convenient for the company and harder for the customer? Number 4 is employee evangelist. Great brands have employee evangelists of two things. One, what they do. They love the industry they're in, okay? And two, the brand they do it for. So because of this, when you shop at a world-class brand, you see a strong similarity. Their employees love, technology. right? They love helping and discussing the benefits of different types of products and services they do. And they love working for their brand. Their employees are loyal to the brand, and customers become loyal to the brand as well. The next one, number 5, is they educate versus sell. Okay. And then the best brands gain loyalty and high customer satisfaction scores by teaching their employees to educate the customer versus just sell to them. I love technology. And the moment something new comes out, I have to have it, right? Worst thing to be as a customer. And I love telling this story. Years ago, when the iPad 2 or the iPad 3, a new iPad came out, I had to have it because I have FOMO when it comes to technology, right? I'm so worried there's a bell or a whistle on a device, computer, phone, whatever, AirPods, that I don't have. So I go into the Apple store and speak to a genius or whoever is helping me. And I said, I have the current iPad. I want the new iPad. And it could have been really done, really, really quick, really easy. Grab the box, take my credit card, I'd be out. But this person that was working at Apple didn't do that. They asked me what I currently use my iPad for. And I responded with everything. And they said, can you be more specific? I said, well, social media, emails. I read books, my Kindle's on it. And I listed a bunch of other things, Slack and all that. And they said, excuse me, do you watch movies? I said, not on my iPad. And they said, do you play games? I said, no, never. And he said, forget about it. I'm like, what? He said, the only difference between the iPad that just came out and the iPad you have is the graphic design card. If you don't watch movies or play games, there's no benefit to switching and paying that money. And I was shocked. And I was like, come on, I'll start playing games. Sell me a game. But, as a result of him educating and not just selling me, he got a customer for life. I've spent so much more money because when I go in and I see him, I ask him if it's time for a new laptop. And, he looks at mine, he says, yes, we got a better one. And I ended up spending $5,000 on a new MacBook Pro with all the bells and whistles, right? So the educate versus sell is so important. Sometimes you take a sale off the table and you'll get more business in the long run. And then the personalized experience. Every regular customer wants you to know who they are, wants to know, where they're from, wants you to know things about them. The whole Ford that if you've ever listened to me, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So we have an exercise that Lindsay's going to put up. We have 2 polls. And the first poll is rank in the order of the of these 6 areas that you're currently the best at. Okay, which one? It could just be one, but which one do you feel that your company is currently the strongest at? And let's see it populate. Okay, a few more minutes, or I'm sorry, a few more seconds. All right, Linz, do you want to show the results? So, the leader with almost 60% of you chose a great product or service. And then tied with number 2 and 3 is consistent and educate versus sell. So the only absolutely great product and service is critical. You won't be a great brand without it. But in almost every industry I can think of, there's, even in customer experience consulting, right? There's really smart, wicked consultants out there, that, hate to say it, but probably do what we do, with their own methodology. So there has to be something more, that goes with it. So consistency, no one picked ease of doing business, employee evangelism, or personalized experience. So now I'd like Lindsay to show the next one, which is, what are you weakest at? Few more seconds here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, Linz, share the results. And here's what we got. Coming at number one, the weakest is the personalized experience. And then number two is well, two is, as you can see, is consistency and ease of doing business is tied, and then employee evangelist. So, which makes sense because the other two was great product was number one in strength, and I think educate versus sell. So, how do you attack that? And, personalized experience, we have such an advantage with technology today, depending on what type of business you're in, but Ford, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. If you have a CRM system that can be shared, that is huge. And then the consistency is so important, which usually starts in training, new employee training, and then the training that you consistently give your employees ongoing. A statistic, I just me and Dave Murray just finished a new book that's coming out in June called The Employee Experience Revolution, and part of our research we found was that a 90% of employees training they get at one company, whether they work there 3 years or 30 years, is 90% of their training, professional development, happens in the first 90 days. And we got to make sure, we don't give them too much training in the first 90 days. We're overwhelming them. We've been guilty of that. We teach them, we used to teach them things in their first 90 days that they didn't need to learn, that it wouldn't apply to them, for 6 months or a year. So we had to take that out because that fire hose, they aren't going to remember anything if we give them too much. Crawl, walk, and run. But also to keep motivated, to revisit, what I like to call TOMA, top of mind awareness, is really, really important. And they should be going through reorientation and retraining, and just be visiting certain things. So the one thing I probably can't help you with is a great product or service, but that's what you don't need help with. But consistency really stems from the training, having non-negotiable standards that people get trained on, tested, and held accountable. And they don't just get trained once. You got to keep on revisiting it. And the best way to revisit is you can touch it once a day. You can visit one non-negotiable standard once a day in a pre-shift huddle, however you communicate with people. Ease of doing business. Don't look, the journey mapping, the customer experience cycle is something that, each touch point of your customer, from, acquiring them as a sales lead, to signing them, whatever that may look like, to, servicing them, selling them the product, all that. You got to look at that not from the company's vantage point, but from the customer's vantage point. And what are service defects that will ruin the experience here? that most people in your industry and you could be guilty of? What are the non-negotiable standards that should happen every time, your brand promise? We call it your signature experience. And then what are the above and beyond opportunities? Employee evangelist is huge. That's what a good part of our book is about, right? Is don't put your company in your people, put your people in your company. That is huge. Get them excited about how their job ties to the impacting the customer and the overall purpose. There's a lot of key ways we're going to be talking about that in upcoming webinars. Educate versus sell sounds like you guys are doing really well. And then I talked about personalizing the experience, forward. And one of the best things that we like to talk about and world-class companies do is that just because someone's new working for you, the customer, client, guest, patient shouldn't suffer, right? And what I mean by that is unless you're going to give me a discount, which you don't want to do, and I'm dealing with someone brand new on your team on the phones, face to face, whatever that means, they should be able to recognize me as a returning, new, VIP, whatever that may be. And there's ways to cheat, right? In the salon industry, we if you walk into any of our salons, you're gonna see a bunch of people getting a haircut, and the majority are going to be at a black John Roberts haircutting cape. One or two might be in a white John Roberts haircutting cape. To our customers, that means we have black and white capes. To anyone that works there, they understand the cue is anyone in black has been there before, anyone in white is a brand new customer. So not only is the person who's taking care of you knows, but anyone walk by knows how to greet them, introduce them, welcome back, great to see you again, versus I understand this is your first time and let me explain more. And we have coffee and we have tea and we have water and here's the restrooms and we also do this. So many businesses copy that. There's a dry cleaner in Sudsy, in Miami, Florida, called Sudsy, and they teach their counter people that if someone walks in with a black dry cleaning bag, I'm sorry, first let's the white dry cleaning bag, they're a brand new customer or a customer of less than 6 months. So also tell them that the company does tailoring and they do other things besides clothes, like wedding garments and drapes and all the things that a dry cleaner does. If you see someone come with a black bag, they've been a customer for more than 6 months. Treat them as such. Don't tell them about all the different services, recognize them, make them feel good. If you see someone coming with a gold or yellow bag, that means they're a VIP. They spend more than $10,000 here. If you see that when they pull up in the back seat, you run out there and carry the bag inside. Actually, you carry them inside. So, and it applies to the B2B world, because it's easier in that world because we have a database to cheat from. Whenever I call American Express, before we hang up, they always say two things. Is there anything else I can do for you today, Mr. DiJulius? I say, no, thanks for asking. And then they say, we want to thank you for being a platinum member since 1997. And I'm like, oh my God, they must talk about me every day. No, it's right there on their screen. So you can customize your screen to be able to do that. And you don't have to work here 3 years, 3 months, or 3 hours to be able to follow the white cape, different color bag, or make sure you pay attention to the screen in front of you. You can click on their last purchase and ask them if they enjoyed that, or if anyone noticed, if they got they got highlights, or whatever it may be. How's the weather at this time of year in Chicago? Especially because if you're in a company that has the database and people are calling in, you can cheat. And the 3 things you don't want to have, 4 things that you want to make sure you follow whenever introducing a new system is it shouldn't cost anything, right? Low cost, no cost. Number 2, it should be easy to do, because everyone's job is very, very hard. Okay. We don't want to add complexity. So looking at a screen, seeing that they've been a customer since, or they're a VIP or whatever, that they live in Chicago or their last order was. Number three, it adds zero impact on productivity. It shouldn't take more, it shouldn't add 10 seconds to this call, this interaction, this check-in or check-out. And number four is it's a wow to the customer. Okay, the customer's not getting this anywhere else. So ask me questions about this and about how you can go improve if I didn't explain it well enough. But I'm here to answer your questions that are specific to your world, your business model. And then I'm gonna throw it back to Lindsay.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So again, we'll go into the Q&A section at the bottom middle of your Zoom screen. Anything and everything that you'd like John to answer, go ahead and put in there. So we'll give you a couple minutes just to submit questions, but we did want to mention that we do host, it's called the CX, or Customer Experience Executive Academy. We do have rolling admission. The next session begins in the spring, which happens to fall in April. And then we also have a June summer session, and then a fall session as well. So this course basically just goes through the entire DiJulius Group 10-step methodology. Usually individuals who are in this academy tend to be representatives, like a chief experience officer type role, who'll come in and you work with our consultants. They present the different steps of our methodology, our proven methodology, and then that's something that you would take back into your respective companies and put to work. So if you are interested in getting more information, that QR code that was on the screen on the previous slide is right there for you. And then, as John mentioned earlier, we are hosting an entire virtual workshop series throughout this year. So in the follow-up email that you'll receive from me later today, that includes, again, a copy of the recording as well as John's slide deck, I will include information in regards to all of our webinars. These are the titles and the dates that they will fall on, and the information will include a description as well, just so you know, and those are all complimentary, either hosted by John or Dave Murray, who is our VP of Consulting. And let's see, we'll start with Tiffany's question. Thank you, Tiffany. What system, John, do you recommend to measure the customer's experience?
So that's a great question. People, very popular formats are NPS, the Net Promoter Score, customer satisfaction, and they're good. They're good. And voice of the customer, what they like, what they don't like, is very important. But actually, if you can, there's I think even more important metrics. We call them return on experience dashboard, that you should be measuring. Supplement NPS and CSAT surveys, but today people have survey fatigue. If your business has, if you can track referrals, that's the number one to me. So NPS, if you're familiar or not familiar with it, it asks, how likely are you to recommend us? And then you answer. I don't want to know what your intent is. I'd rather know if you're taking action. So, we can track in all our businesses, the salon, consulting, by our consultants, of their clientele or their past clientele, what percentage of their clients referred new customers, to the DiJulius Group. And we can hold, that accountable. That's everything. And people should, the better work they do, the higher their referrals are going to be. Another metric that I love, and you can, maybe Lindsay can attach this, is earned growth. Love this. Again, you have to be able to, well, you have to be able to track where your sales comes from. Most businesses can't. And what earned growth is, there's a difference between earned growth and earned sales and bought sales. And so let's say, 100% of your sales, right? You have 100% of your sales. We'll use $1 million as a round number. That's what you do in a certain period, quarter, year, whatever it may be. $1 million. Okay. But of that $1 million, what percentage came from bought, which is advertising, whatever your advertising budget is, and people call in and how did you hear of us? I saw Googled you, or the billboard, or a video on social media, whatever that looks like for your advertising and marketing. And then the other part is earned, which comes from referrals and repeat customers. So you got to track these, but if you track these and 80% of your new business or business this year comes from bought, you're spending a lot of money and they're price sensitive and you might have to be given discounts and it's less profitable. You want to increase the earned, because let's say you can get that to 40, 50, 60, 70%. Well, now you're spending significantly less in advertising. That's pure profit. That means your customers are happy. They're coming back. They're demanding to, their network that they use you. So love that. Earned sales versus bought sales. I'll ask you, since there's no more questions that you could put in chat, what was your biggest takeaway from today's webinar? What can you do? What are you going to do as a result of the webinar you heard today? Give me some things, please. Took you away from your job. I want to make sure it's creating value.
So Tiffany said in the Q&A to see if we can track referrals.
Ah.
Very good. Let's see.
Okay.
Implement a one non-negotiable standard per day from Alicia. Thank you, Alicia.
Good, good.
We would love to see what percent of our earned sales are, what percent of sales are earned, are bought and earned. I believe.
So again, and Lindsay, can you put the blog I wrote on earned sales in there so they can, it tells you the formula, how to figure it out.
Absolutely. I will include that for them as part of the wrap up.
Okay. Anyone else?
Awesome.
All right. Thank you, revolutionaries. We look forward to seeing you on the next webinar, which is in 2 weeks from today, on why the employee experience revolution. Thanks, Linz.
Thanks, guys.